Remove the screws from the back plate of the camera. You can now take a look at what's going on the inside. Now what we have are 4 data wires, which are the RS485, which come from the data connector routed through here onto here. Those 4 connectors are fine. They're low voltage, low power data. They are absolutely fine. There's never a problem with those at all. You also have another couple of wires which also provide the power to the signal board itself, and you can just see at the back there you've got another connector that's sideways on. You then have your yellow and black wires, which are your 12 volt feed to the lamp assembly. And what normally happens is these will have a 2-pin Molex connector fitted to the camera board itself. If I just turn this round, you should be able to see the yellow and the black wire going down here to this 2-pin connector. If you've got problems with a lamp, what you normally find is that the connector will be very, very burnt, very, very black, very, very damaged, and when you try and pull on the wires, the pins will just come apart in your hand. What Alan has always done with these trackers, and I've done myself a couple of times, is to chop the wires off the burnt and broken connector and to just solder the wires directly to the 2 pins on the Molex header itself. Please make sure that you use insulated sleeve, and please make sure you get the polarity the correct way round. If you're looking at the board in this orientation, on my 2-pin connector, the black pin is on the left and the yellow pin is on the right. Please do this very, very, very carefully, as dismantling this camera head unit any further to access these connectors is very, very difficult indeed. If at all possible, please try and do this through the back door rather than disassemble the whole unit, take the whole sandwich of boards out and try and do it on the bench. The less you can disturb these main camera PCBs, the better. Once you've soldered your wires onto there, you'll find that you should have no further problems with the lamp. What happens is the lamp is normally 20 to 35 watts. At 12 volt, that's drawing about 3 or 4 amps of power. What happens is these 0.256 Molex connectors, the small ones, are only rated for about 1 amp. So over continual use, especially in warmer climates such as Singapore, what you'll find is what happens over time is those 2 connector pins get very, very hot indeed, and over time they will cause the housing to melt and burn. What happens then is, as the housing melts and burns, the spring contact that is used to firmly grip the pins between the pins and the terminals on the connector becomes open circuit. So you're always going to get a better connection with a soldered joint if at all possible. Once you've resoldered that, having put a bit of sleeve over each connector to make sure they do not short together, please use rubber insulated sleeving. Do not use heat shrink under any circumstances. If you try and use heat shrink tubing over the connectors and then you use a hot air gun to shrink the rubber onto the back of the camera board, there's every chance that you will end up desoldering or damaging components on the camera board. So please only attempt this kind of repair if you're confident about your soldering and you can work without splashing solder on the board or without damaging any other components on the board. Once you've managed to get your lamp wiring sorted out, before you put it back together again, you can reconnect your interlink cable, power it up and check to see whether or not the lamp comes on. You should have already changed the lamp if that's a doubt. If you've wired up your new wiring correctly and you've correctly insulated it with a pair of rubber sleeves, as you can see here, you should find that everything is back in working order. Once you've tested it, disconnect the wires again, refit the back plate, put the 8 screws back in.